Copywriter. Are you struggling right now to quit your 9 to 5 job as a copywriter or your agency role, um, in-house, remote, whatever, right? Are you struggling to quit that and transition into freelancing? If yes, this video is for you. I've prepared the exact framework we've used time and time again to help people transition from full-time roles into actually becoming satisfied and fulfilled as freelancers doing copywriting, okay? Have you tried countless times, but you never seem to find the time to make it work? Because obviously a job in a 9 to 5 comes with a big time investment, right? So you have to invest a lot of time of your day there. Or maybe you end up getting busy with 1 to 2 freelance clients on the side from what you're doing, from referrals, from word of mouth, but they're not enough for you to actually transition. And you kind of stay there because you're stuck in between realms, right? You're too busy to work more and to get more clients so that you can transition, but the work you're doing now isn't enough for you to quit the job and actually, you know, start running a freelance business. And the only option for you is to go Rambo mode and quit the job and put your faith into growing your freelancing over the next few months. But I know you don't want to do that because it's scary. And you don't have to listen to the gurus telling you that you need to go sleep under a bridge for 3 months to figure it out. Otherwise, you won't be successful, right? What if I told you there is a way to slowly and comfortably transition from your job to freelancing without having to sacrifice your entire life for it, right? If you want to see Stripe months like this as a freelancer, you want to see this type of revenue coming in, and you want to do it without actually sacrificing your life for it, then hear me out. And don't just take my word for it, okay? This is the first, one of the people that we helped replace the job, okay? This is example number 1, scale to 5K per month. Example number 2, 3 clients, 2 for email marketing, 1 for an ebook. And we have many people that we've helped like this, and more concise results and interviews with people that we've helped achieve this. So if you want to see those, by the way, just go to freelanceclients.com. Okay, that's my business. I'm the CEO and founder of freelanceclients.com and sixfigurecopywriters.com. So you can see many more people like this there. Okay, now, first of all, we have to understand why this happens, why you're in this constant cycle of this and you cannot seem to transition into freelancing. Well, let me tell you something. It isn't because of your strategy. It isn't because of your services and the way you price them, or your hourly rate, your day rate, or the competition, or that there's too many writers, or anything like that. And it's certainly not because of the economy or the state of the world or the US, whatever, right? So it's not because any of this. It happens because of one simple thing. You are trying to work more to get more. And this sounds like, okay, Dennis, what are you talking about? Of course I have to work more to get more, right? Yes, of course you have to do that, but when it's possible. For you right now, you know it because you've been in this cycle for quite some time now, I presume. It is impossible to work more to get more. Okay? So what happens is you think that is your only option and you quit there because you don't you don't have the belief that you can actually get more by not working more, if that makes sense. So what if I told you that is actually an option? And I'm obviously going to explain everything and how it works, right? But for now, what I want you to do, the first and most important step right now is for you to understand that this isn't the end of the world and there is a work around this, okay? If you want to transition to freelancing. Now, let's understand something together. And this is a concept I'm going through in a lot of my videos. You've probably heard it already if you've been through some of my videos, but we need to understand it again. What are the two currencies we have as human beings? We have time and money, okay? Money, obviously, is what we pay with, is what we understand is the object of trade for us as human beings. And then we also have time, which is a currency. The difference between the two of these, right? The similarity is that you have to pay with them no matter what happens. Every single day, with the actions you take, with what you're doing, you have to pay, okay? The difference is time is limited, money is unlimited. How come? Well, time, from what I know, there's no investment you can make to get time back or to multiply time. There's no extra job you can take to make more time, right? It's impossible. With money, the sky is the limit, right? There's so many opportunities to make money. You can borrow, you can get an extra job, you can sell something, you can offer a new service, you can increase the prices for your clients. There's many ways to make more money, right? And people often tell you that you need to implement new strategies, new habits, new things in order to make more. And that is true for someone who has time. Okay, so this is your more like less scarce currency, let's put it that way, and you choose to pay with it, right? Why do we choose to pay with time? Because we are uneducated about this concept right here, and we think money is more important. Let me ask you this. If you deeply think about it, would you really say money is more valuable than time? I want you to think about it, because the way you see this now is going to shift everything for you. And this is not some woo-woo shit, like spiritual understand why time is important, blah blah blah. But this is genuinely logic. Time is something you don't get back, right? So why do you think money is more important than time? You choose to pay with time because you think money is more important, because that's what they tell us all the time, right? Oh, if you're going to go broke, it's going to be the end of the world. If you don't make money, you're going to be a loser. If you don't do this, it's not going to be that, and so on and so forth, right? So why would you value a piece of paper more than your time? Well, what you can do now, you can actually choose to switch the currency and pay with money, which money you can get through your existing job, credit, selling stuff, speaking with family and friends, getting a loan, landing those extra clients. Okay, Dennis, but I'm confused. I understand. Okay, so let's say you understand that money is less important than time, but what does that have to do with getting more clients? How do I switch the currency? I'm ready to do it if needed because I understand the importance now, but how do I do it? Delegate what's not decreasing your value as a freelancer. Okay? The only way to pay with money instead of time when you're running a freelance business is to pay someone else to do the things you do not have time to do. Or you pay someone with money for things that can give you a better return in time. Okay? So, what are those activities? And this is this is the pinnacle of every single business, right? Because if you want to actually make this work, you have to think a bit like a business owner. If you think about every single business, let's take like a factory, for instance. Is the business owner the one running the 100 machines all at the same time, doing the marketing and speaking with customers and selling the product and making the product? Or is he delegating those activities that don't need his brain necessarily to people, to workers that can do it for way cheaper? Right? So I want you to see the same thing in your business, okay? I want you to think about what is invaluable that you obviously cannot delegate and what is transferable, okay? Let me tell you what these things are. What's invaluable is your writing capabilities. You cannot delegate your service delivery because, especially with copywriting, creativity is very important. So that's a big thing here, right? Client communication is invaluable. No one will understand your client better than you do, and you don't want to delegate that. And your strategy session process is invaluable. You cannot delegate the way you strategize about your client's business and then you are the one delivering the work, because then it's going to be a disconnect between the two, right? So these things are invaluable. You cannot delegate them if you want to keep having the same success in your business. But here are some transferable things. Prospecting is transferable. You don't need to have an MBA to send cold messages, right? So why do you spend 4 hours a day doing it? Technical setups. You don't need to be a master creative copywriter to watch a YouTube video on setting up MailChimp, right? So why do you spend 10 hours a month doing it for your clients? Data tracking and collection. You don't need to be Einstein to watch a YouTube video on how to build a tracking sheet. So why are you not doing it, or why are you doing it and spending so much time? Right? Why are you running a factory and you have the idea for the clothes and you have the vision for the clothes, but at the same time, instead of focusing on this, you go at the sewing table and you start sewing the work for 4 hours a day? right? That is what you're doing. Now, I hope this makes sense, right? Because I know this is a lot of information, but you need to understand these things if you want to actually make this work. I'm not trying to show you how to get more leads. I'm not trying to show you how to implement my crazy new strategy, which is going to be part of my course and whatever, right? I don't have any courses to sell you. In fact, we don't do any types of courses, right? If you want to check out what we do, you can go to freelanceclients.com, but we do not sell any courses. So that's not my intention today. My intention today is to help you understand and give you the roadmap you need to implement, okay? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to figure out what is invaluable for you and what is transferable, and ask yourself, which one pays me the most amount of time? Which one pays me the most amount of time? Well, if I delegate prospecting, it's going to pay me 3 hours a day. If I delegate the setups, it's going to pay me 20 minutes a day, so not that big of a deal. If I delegate data tracking and the collection, it's going to pay me maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes a day. Okay, so what I'm seeing here, if I delegate prospecting, if I spend the time to do it once and delegate prospecting, it's going to pay me 4 hours a day. Okay, awesome. That's what I have to do, right? It's that easy. Okay, so if you know this is what you have to do, let's understand delegating prospecting. This is what you have to do. Okay, this is the magic pill. You don't need a new strategy. You don't need a fancy prospecting process, you don't need referrals, you don't need any of that. You need to delegate prospecting. If you delegate prospecting, you will be able to get clients, have more time to work with more clients, and transition out of your job. Okay, so let's look at an example. Let's see what happens when you retain prospecting in your daily activities. What happens when you do it yourself? Okay, well, you have 24 hours in every single day, and this is what I was referring to when I said time is limited. Okay, 8 hours of the day you spend in your 9 to 5 job. Okay, that's obvious. Another 8 hours you spend on sleeping, right? Another, let's say, 3 hours you spend on personal activities. Obviously, you have to spend time with the family. You have to eat, you have to cook, you have to drive to work, maybe if you're on site. You have to do these things, right? So that's 19 hours already. Now you have 5 hours left, okay? 2 hours you spend on outreach and social media. Okay, so 2 hours you spend every single day doing prospecting. And then 1 more hour you spend, let's say, on sales meetings, right? Because obviously you need to have the sales meetings in order to get the clients. Okay, so then you have 2 hours left to work with freelance clients and make money. Okay, what that means is that if you, let's say your rate is $100 an hour, okay, this is just a hypothetical example. You can plug in your own numbers and make sense of it, okay? But if you charge $100 an hour and you have 2 hours left to work with clients, you're making $200 a day freelancing, which is still pretty sweet, right? But hear me out. And you don't pay anything for delegation, right? And you have $200 plus per day in profit. And again, this is just an example so you can understand the mathematics. You're not going to work 2 hours a day every single day, Monday to Friday, as a freelancer at first, right? So I just want you to understand the example here. Now, okay, so this makes you $200 a day in profit, right? Versus, let's see what happens when we delegate prospecting. Okay, you still work the same 9 to 5 job for 8 hours. You still sleep the same amount of 8 hours a night. You don't need to grind Gary Vee style 15 hours a day. You still spend your 3 hours on personal activities, and you still spend 1 hour a day on doing sales meetings. Okay, but right now you have delegated the process of outreach. So instead of having 2 hours a day to work with clients, you have 4 hours a day to work with clients, which means hypothetically, now you're making $400 a day, right? And you're paying $10 a day for delegation, okay? You're not going to pay more than that for prospecting. Believe me, you don't need to pay more than that for prospecting, okay? So you're paying $10 a day for delegation, so your profit is $390 per day, okay? Which one do you think is better? Let me ask you this because I want you to understand, okay? You think that money is so important that paying someone to do your prospecting is a waste of time and money. But how about when you look at it this way? Ultimately, paying someone to do the prospecting for you and get you those extra clients, and you not having to deal with that activity every day anymore, is going to result in an extra $190 a day in capacity. Okay, this is about capacity. Okay, it's not about how much money you make, because obviously you're not going to necessarily have your capacity filled out every single day, but you understand where I'm coming from, right? So if you work 15 days a month as a freelancer, you have an extra $3,000 in capacity. Would this, on top of what your existing capacity is, allow you to quit the job? Unless you're a CEO at a company and making 15K a month, probably yes. But if you were the earlier, then probably you wouldn't be here watching the video, right? So this is the difference. Now, let me ask you this. Would you still like to pay with time? Would you still like to do the prospecting and do this instead of doing this? Because that is what you're doing now, okay? So now that we understand the importance of delegating prospecting, we know that is the key to actually becoming a successful full-time freelancer and transitioning out of your job. Let's go through the process, okay? What do you need to do to make this work? Well, step number one is you need to understand what works. And I just want to read two quotes to you here, okay? Because I don't know, sometimes I just feel like it's easier for me to help people understand what I mean by showing these quotes, okay? So, step number one, understand what works, okay? What you need to do is you need to do more of what works and less of what doesn't. What is the point in you doing something that doesn't work just with the hope of it working one day? When you have something that works already, but you're not doing more of it because you're testing all of these new things, okay? And this matches exactly with what Albert Einstein said. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Okay? So I want you to stop doing 10,000 things at once. I want you to stop doing four, five, six methods of acquisition and focus on one that has given you the results. No matter if it's like a small number of results, okay? Even if it's not going to get you to your goal yet. The reality is what you're doing probably works super well, but you're just not doing enough of it with enough consistency, right? You don't need a fancy new strategy. Let's look at it this way. If you sent, let's say you sent some cold emails last month and you got 3 meetings, you got a client, it wasn't that big of a deal, it got you something. But because you had the job, because you had the inconsistency of doing the prospecting yourself, you didn't do enough of it, and now you think it's not working, and you need a magical method that's going to get you more clients with just 1 hour a day, 2 days a week. If that's you, you are delusional, okay? With no, I don't mean to be rude here or to sound like off, but that is the truth, okay? There is no fancy strategy that can help you become a like a professional lifestyle, super amazing copywriter with just 30 minutes a day, okay? What you need to do is you need to look at what worked for you. Okay, I sent the cold emails. I got 3 meetings. I got 1 client. How many did I do? Well, I did just 50 emails. Okay. So what do you think is going to happen if you find a way to do 50 emails every single day? Or not even every single day. If you do 50 emails every week, okay? And that got you 3 meetings in the past. So now you have a way of doing it every single week, which means you're going to get about 12 meetings a month. What's going to happen then to your client base, right? Now, what I need you to understand is that you also need to understand the difference between inbound and outbound with these methods, right? Because some will work and some won't work in terms of replicating what works and understanding what works. Now, let's look at inbound. Inbound is obviously, you should already know this, but inbound is basically when people come to you, okay? Outbound is when you go to people and you create your own opportunity. Inbound is very easy to convert because these people are already looking for a solution. They just come to you to offer the solution, okay? So they're easy to convert. Outbound is hard to convert because you have to not necessarily spark the desire in that person for wanting your service, but you need to open up their appetite, right? Inbound is not trackable. You don't know exactly how many people will come to you next month saying, hey, Dennis, I need copywriting. Okay? You don't know that. You can expect it and you can like set like an assumption, but you don't know it for sure. Outbound, on the other hand, that is trackable, because you know that if you want to, you can send those 50 emails every single week and you know what's going to happen from those emails, right? Inbound, you have ups and downs because obviously it's not in your control. It's not in your control. So when you're going to have those bad months with inbound, there's nothing you can do about it. You cannot do more acquisition to get inbound leads, right? But with outbound, you have consistent results, because no matter what happens with your inbound lead flow, you always do the same amount of outreach. You do this, you get the same amount of replies, same amount of bookings. Well, not the same, right? Because that's impossible, but around the same. Okay, so that is consistent. You know, every single month what happens, you're still going to send those 500 emails, you're still going to get some interest out of that, you're still going to get some book meetings, you're still going to get some clients. Okay, inbound cannot be sustainable without outbound. That is again one more reason why you're failing. If you rely on inbound, that is why you have 1 month where you make 10K and then the other month you're back at 3, because you're relying on what you cannot control. Very simple. Whereas outbound, it can be sustainable without the other. Even if nobody knows who you are and you don't have inbound leads and you don't have inbound traction, guess what? Since you can control outbound, you can still send those 500 emails every month and still get the results, no matter what happens, okay? And here's a cool quote that backs up my claims. What gets measured gets managed, by Peter Drucker, okay? You cannot measure inbound because it's basically based on luck and opportunity, but you can measure outbound. And one can work without the other, but it's not the other way around, okay? So this is what I wanted you to understand, okay? So when it comes to this strategy, in terms of delegating your prospecting, you need to delegate your outbound prospecting, okay? You cannot delegate your inbound because that's impossible. This inbound is just people coming to you, okay? So you need to delegate outbound. Now, if you are not doing any outbound, I just want to show you some studies that have been done on the difference between the two, right? Because I truly want you to understand everything. For instance, Market Joy highlights that outbound marketing, especially in B2B context, and remember, when you're a copywriter, you're mostly selling B2B, right? Allows companies to build sales pipelines more quickly by targeting untapped leads directly, okay? This approach can accelerate revenue growth faster than relying on inbounds, which typically take longer to show results, right? Because again, you cannot control inbounds, but you can control outbounds. Additionally, a website called Callbox explains that outbound marketing remains effective because it allows businesses to actively reach potential customers, which can be critical in certain industries or demographics that may not engage through organic inbound content, right? This is huge. If you're in a niche where you know people are not necessarily super copywriting educated and they are not necessarily looking for someone like you all the time, then they're not going to engage with your content. They're not going to reach out to you because they need you, right? You need to create the demand. You need to create the desire. So this is where outbound comes in. However, this is by Diamond, HubSpot partner, okay? Outbound marketing can also require more budget upfront, right? Because waiting around for people is free, but doing outbound costs you money or time, okay? But when done correctly, it often results in a faster return on investment, particularly when companies need immediate impact, okay? What is the keyword here? It's immediate impact. In order for you to transition out of your job and grow your freelance business, you need immediate impact. You cannot rely on probability, on probably. You cannot do that, okay? You need immediate impact and you need consistency, okay? So, you cannot duplicate referrals, word of mouth, or inbound leads coming to you, but you can duplicate LinkedIn cold DMs, cold emails, cold calling, okay? So what I need you to do is think about your strategies so far, what has generated results, and think about what would happen if you would 10x the amount of inputs every single day, okay? Because I'm going to show you how to do it, but I want you to think about that method. Well, Dennis, what if I don't have a proven method? What if nothing worked for me so far? Even if I tried it out I consider that I did quite a lot of volume and I failed. I invested in coaching programs. I did all of these things. I've tried these methods, but they didn't work. Well, you have to pay with time. You can spend 8 months testing 3 methods with no guarantee, or you can pay with money. Go to someone. It doesn't have to be a guru, okay? You can just go to another copywriter that is successful. Hey, bro, I'm going to send you $1,000. Coach me on your method of getting clients. How hard is that, guys? Do you really need to go through these Rolls-Royce gurus on the internet telling you that you need their fancy methods to get clients? And I'm telling you this because I don't have any course to sell you, right? Just go to a copywriter that's successful and pay them for their method, right? It's easy. That's what you want to do, okay? So you either pay with time or you pay with money. That's super important, okay? Now, I want to have a gift for you at every single step of the process, okay? Because I love gifts. So now that we've understood that what we need to do first, so we need to get our hands on a strategy, basically, right? That's the concept of it. I want to share in the description of this video my free 3-hour, well, it's not 3-hour, sorry, that was something else. My strategy, right, that I use for my clients that booked 22 sales calls from 418 outreach, okay? And again, this is just me showcasing the strategy, one potential strategy that worked for copywriters, right? So you don't have to necessarily search for it anymore, okay? So you can go here to this video. I've linked it in the description and you can check this out. There's no course that I sell you at the end of this. This is literally the full strategy that we use, okay? So you can do this and you should be all set. If you feel like you have some pieces of the puzzle missing, then just drop a comment and I'm more than happy to answer that question for you, okay? So this is step number 1. We understand what works. Step number 2, how do we delegate this? Well, we've tested tens of methods when it comes to outsourcing acquisition to other people, and many of them failed. But the core of it is that you need to hire someone else, okay? Because there's no reliable and trustworthy software that can do the outreach for you. Believe me, all of them are against guidelines, against rules, against laws, okay? So you need to hire a person to do this for you. And when you hire a person, there is more personality as well, right? You don't want a robot to send your cold emails or messages. You want the person that can emphasize, that can understand other people, that can understand emotions, that can actually be coached and trained. So we want to delegate this to another person. What is the best way to go about this? I'm going to give you the direct answer, okay? No BS fluffing around. Hire a specialist in the field. So if you do Instagram, hire an Instagram specialist. If you want to do LinkedIn, hire a LinkedIn specialist. If you want to do cold emails, hire a cold email specialist, okay? From the Philippines, I'm going to tell you why from the Philippines in a second, and train them on your specific process. Okay, so we do not necessarily hire someone from scratch. We hire someone that has experience in the platform we want to use, but we train them on our specific process that worked, okay? Which was step number 1, understanding our process. Why do we want to hire someone from the Philippines? Well, people from the Philippines have great work ethic. They have no scam culture as some other countries, which I'm not going to mention here because I don't want to create any biased opinions, okay? They have reasonable prices. Delegating acquisition and prospecting is going to cost you $10 to $20 a day. And they are, in general, lovely and coachable people. I've worked with so many people from the Philippines, and yet I haven't had major disappointments from any of them, okay? My huge respect to people from the Philippines. If you're from the Philippines watching this, you rock it. You're rocking it. But if you are looking to hire someone to delegate acquisition, you should definitely look into the Philippines. Okay, Dennis. So I understand. I need to come up with a strategy or understand what my best strategy is, and then I need to hire someone to basically do that strategy for me 3 hours a day. Yep, that's right. How do I find those people? Well, first of all, avoid Facebook groups. There's a lot of lazy people, fraudsters, scammers in Facebook groups because everyone and their mother can pull up a fake name and a fake profile picture and have a Facebook profile, okay? So avoid Facebook groups. What you need to have is some sort of proof that their experience is there and they actually know what they do at a base level, of course, right? So we need proof that they know what they're doing, basically. Okay, on Facebook you cannot have that, right? Maybe you can find someone on Facebook, but it's very hard, and honestly not worth it, because there's easier ways for you to get this done. Okay, what you can do here, again, pay with time or money. You can go to places like Upwork, which is free, and you can search their talent, you can create an account, and then what you can do is you can type in LinkedIn outreach, Instagram outreach, Facebook outreach, cold email, or whatever. You go to talent, you set the location to Philippines, and you set the hourly rate to $10 and under, okay? Then you will have a lot of qualified specialists like this ready to work with you, okay? Let's take this woman for instance, okay? She's charging $7 an hour, so it's gonna cost you $14 a day to let her do the acquisition for you for 2 hours. She has a 100% success job rate, okay? She has the skills, lead generation and outreach expert, and she already made 40 grand on Upwork. So it means people paid her $40,000, which means she's already experienced, okay? Same here. $8 an hour. It's gonna cost you $16 for 2 hours a day. This lady has experience with LinkedIn specifically, if that's what you're looking for. She has a 99% job success rate, okay? And there is many more people like that you can find if you go and do this thing on Upwork. What you can do next, you invite them to a job, you reach out to them, you do what you got to do, okay? I'm going to show you the step-by-step process in just a second, but now let's focus on finding people, okay? So this is number one. Option number two, if you pay with money and you want to get someone that's already vetted, you can go to websites like virtualstaff.ph, this one right here. You can pay a fee to access their platform, but the people on their platform are already trained, vetted, and ready to get placed, okay? You just have to show them your strategy. Whereas with Upwork, it's still a great place, but it's still free for them to be here, right? They don't have to go through like any like tremendous verification. So it's up to you, okay? I just gave you two methods. It's not a big deal, a big difference between them, but if you pay with money and if you go to a platform like this, it's generally going to be faster, okay, to get the thing done. So this is how we find people. Now the process is simple. What I need you to do is, once you figure out your strategy, okay, you want to build a video training on your method of finding clients, okay? Make sure it's very detailed and you go through the step-by-step process of how to find clients. Next is you want to post on platforms and reach out to talent until you have like 10 to 15 interviews booked, okay? This is the sweet spot right here. You want to speak with about 10 to 15 people before you hire, okay? Then you host the interviews, and very important, record the interviews, okay? You can use a tool like Fathom.ai. It's free. You just use it, record the calls, and have them in a database, okay? If you need some tool to record the video training, you can use loom.com. It's $10 a month. You can record the entire training with it, and it's pretty simple to use, and it gives you links to the videos once you record them. So you can just put together like a doc with the links to the specific video lessons in your training, okay? So that's the process from here. You watch the recordings the second day, okay? You want to leave 24 hours in between, because you don't want to take any impulse decisions on hiring this person, because you might have like a rush of adrenaline or like euphoria after an interview because you found like a nice person and so on. Don't let that take the decision for you, okay? Give it a day, watch the recordings on the second day, and hire one person. Plus, one more person that you feel is qualified, keep them as plan B. In case the first person fails, you have a replacement as soon as possible, okay? We want to move with speed. Then what you want to do is you have an onboarding call with them where you share access to the training, you explain what you do, you give them the guidelines. Your new acquisition specialist then watches the training and asks you questions. And then you set up a 10 to 15 minute task once every 2 to 3 days to check on their work and call them to see if they need any assistance, okay? Then what happens is they constantly produce demand for your service every single day through the outreach. They book appointments, they get you proposals, so on and so forth. And that is where we have achieved the goal. Okay, now we have outreach delegated, you have someone doing it for you, and you're paying less on actually getting more, okay? My gift for you for this step is a post template that you can use to hire your outbound specialist, either on Upwork or on virtualstaff.ph. You can just take this from here. Obviously, update the script with your own services, with your own guidelines, with your own project details, and then you can basically take this template and use it. Okay, it's going to be in the description of the video as well. So now that we have we understood what works and what strategy needs to be done, we have delegated it to a specialist. Number 3, we need to maintain it as well, okay? Is this a passive income type method where this person just generates leads for you day in, day out without you having to do absolutely anything? No, it isn't, okay? You still have to do some work. It's not gonna be 2 to 3 hours a day anymore, but it's still gonna be some work, okay? So even if now you are being more efficient, you still need to do your due diligence for 10 to 15 minutes every 2 to 3 days to actually make sure that this person is generating results for you. How do you do that? Well, you do that by measuring your numbers and tracking data, okay? What you need to do is you need to be on top of the game every single day, measuring everything, okay? So, for instance, what we do in our company, we have people sending sending us end of day reports, right? This is literally from yesterday. You can see my outbound acquisition specialist here. They have sent 90 outreach messages. They got 9 responses. They proposed 5 calls. They sent 7 calendars, probably to some leads from the past as well. And they have booked 2 appointments. Okay. Now, you don't need to have it fancy like this with notifications and everything, right? But what you need to do is understand, okay, make a step-by-step process of how your strategy looks and get clarity on the specialist's activity and results, okay? What do they need to do every single day? If it's cold emails, okay, they need to send cold emails. They need to tell me how many people replied so I can track the reply rate. They need to tell me how many people booked a call, okay? And then you create something like this, like a tracking sheet, where you keep track of the numbers every single day, okay? So every single day, you keep track of the numbers and you have full clarity on what needs to be done, okay? Because when you look at it weekly, it's very easy for you to fix the constraints, because if you just let it run for 2 months and it doesn't generate you anything, you're going to say, oh, it was a bad service, I didn't get anything out of it, the strategy doesn't work. But have you ever looked at the strategy to see if there is anything you can do to improve it? Because if you do this weekly and you see, okay, so I can do this here, I can do that there. Okay, the reply rate is low. Okay, I'm gonna improve the subject line. Okay, cool. So I'm getting replies, but nobody's really booking an appointment. Let me make my offer stronger. Let me position it in a different way. Let me offer a free value pack before people get on the call with me as a sign of my appreciation for their business. Let me do all of these things to see if I can fix it. And only if you go through this 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, and it still doesn't work, which is going to be impossible, that's when you quit. Okay. But again, it's going to be impossible if you change things and you constantly ramp up the numbers. Okay. So, my gift to you for step number 3 is the tracking sheet you need. Okay. So, let me delete this from here. So, you will have this right here as a gift. Again, a link in the description. You can go here, modify these inputs right here with whatever you need, or you can leave them like they are, obviously. And your outbound specialist, instruct them every single day to keep track of the numbers and put them in here. Okay, so you put them in here every single day, and then here automatically it will calculate your reply rate, your booking rate, your and everything else, right? Again, you can modify this based on your inputs here. This is just a template. All right, cool. So this is what you need to do. Now, what we need to do to maintain it as well is we need to treat our specialist right, okay? Train people so well that they can leave, but well enough so they don't want to. Well, wait, I don't know what I said. Train people well enough so they can leave, treat them well enough so they don't want to. Right? Very good quote by Richard Branson, okay? What I want you to do is I want you to communicate daily with the acquisition specialist. Very important. Even if it's just saying good morning, how's your day going? Okay. Communicate with them daily. Let them know you're there. Let them know you're there for them to take care of questions, of clarities. Okay. Offer bonuses when they deserve it. If you close a new client, don't hesitate to send a bonus to your outbound specialist, right? Or acquisition specialist. I keep saying outbound specialist because that's how we call them in our company, right? Teach them something on a weekly basis. Always get on random calls with them, show them new concepts, principles, ways of getting clients, what you would have done in certain situations, okay? Teach them constantly. Congratulate them for their wins and coach them for their losses, okay? Very important. And then lastly, treat them as an equal. They are a person with goals just like you. I've seen people hire virtual assistants or acquisition specialists from other countries, and because they have this superiority complex, they make them call they have them basically call them boss. They treat them with disrespect. They are late on payments. Okay, don't do any of that. It's not going to serve you. Okay, treat them as an equal because they are a person that is working towards your success. Okay, so that being said, this is pretty much the process. Okay, now take this process right here, implement it, and you will definitely be able to transition from your job to a full-time freelance copywriter. Okay, so once again, just to recap, understand your strategy or pay someone to give you a strategy or leverage this strategy. Hire an acquisition specialist to do it for you for $10 to $20 a day. Okay, implement this process and then maintain your quality of work by tracking your numbers and constantly looking at improvements. Okay, if you do these three things, you will succeed. That being said, that's pretty much it. All the gifts are going to be in the description of the video. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe to my channel because I try to constantly post these types of trainings in here. And yeah, with that being said, I'll see you in the next one.